I thought it was un-American. They weren't supporting our country. They're trying to rewrite history. They wrecked our history. They wrecked businesses that fellow Black people built their livelihoods on. I think they are trying to change the course of America. I thought they're just like, well, big babies, you know. They were spoiled little brats that they were entitled to, you know, they could do what they want. And then that wasn't true. They're American just like everybody else, and they were ruining our country. No, it wasn't focused on racism. It's focused on them. Yeah, it's focused on racism for Black people. But they like try to turn it around and make it all about them when it isn't. You know, it wasn't white people that brought Black people over as slaves. It was Black people. It was their own fellow countrymen in in Africa that sold slaves. It wasn't just white people. It was Black people also. And they're trying to distort history for their own benefit. They're trying to change the way history was founded. You know, you can't go back and change history. You can learn from history. They're trying to change history. They're trying to write out history. They're trying to change history the way they see history being made. And that's not true. They destroy monuments, statues of great Americans that did good to this country. For what? Just because they're not the one. We're not the ones. White people are not the racists. The Black people are the ones that are being racist. They want to, you know, change the course of the world by changing history. I don't think it's a good movement. In the case of George Floyd, whatever, he was a crackhead. He was in and out of trouble all his life. And they're trying to make him a great figure when he was nothing but a bum on the street, a drug addict who was high on drugs when he was accused of it. But he was high on drugs at the time. That is why he acted up. That's why the police might have used a little excess force, because he was high on drugs at the time. And they're making him a martyr. He was a criminal. A repeated criminal and stuff like that. He shouldn't have been praised. White people get killed all the time too, but they don't get publicized. But when Black people get killed, they get publicized all the time. And they call it police brutality, and it's not. Lives matter, not just Black people, not just African Americans. You know, everybody should be, you know, given the same opportunities. In the 60s and 70s, that's what Martin Luther King was doing. They were, you know, all lives matter, not just Black, not just Hispanics, China, Chinese, what other, you know, this country was built was a melting pot, and it was, and the black people fought for their fruit, you know, did protests in the 60s and 70s. Everybody should be treated equally, not just the minority. In the case of my, cousin who couldn't get into, tried 3 times to get into medical school, but because even though he was the top of his class, he couldn't get in because he wasn't a minority or a woman. If I want somebody to treat me, I want somebody that knows the knowledge of what in the medical field, not just somebody that got like B's in class and stuff like that. I want somebody that, gonna treat me that knows, is the smartest guy, smartest doctor, not just, because he was a minority, he got in, And I don't think it should be just singled out one race is better than the other, because it's not. Black Lives Matters want to change history, want to change how history was made. They're not celebrating, the black people's accomplishments. They're trying to rewrite history by, taking down statues, defacing, changing history. Everybody should be given the same opportunities and stuff like that. It shouldn't be just because they're, a minority or because they're different race or something, it's like, I think it was just, yeah, some people were upset about, the George Floyd thing, but you can't go ruin people's lives because you don't agree with it. You can't go tear down other people's, come in and destroy people's lives because you don't, you didn't have the same opportunities. You just can't come over and take what you want. They need to earn it. And I think for a lot of the riots, I don't think it was what, everybody thinks it was. It was not emotionally charged. It was so they could go in, get free merchandise, sell it on the web, and make money. It was a money-making scam. And they used Black Lives Matter to promote it, saying that it was racially motivated. It wasn't. It was, they used it to go in there so they could ruin people's livelihoods so they could get free merchandise to sell it on the web. No, it's not. It's not necessary for one race to have their own movement. Because we're all supposed to be in this together. If you say one race should have, a specific race should have its own movement, then you're basically segregating people when we should be all coming together. By races having their own movements, you're basically segregating them again, saying, it's like, well, then we're back in the 50s and 60s. That's basically it. If we're going to do that, you're going to go back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You have in the Army, in the Navy, armed forces. You got blacks fighting with whites, fighting together. They all have to work together. They all have to, we all have to live in the same world. So why segregate them again? By this Black Lives Matter thing? Why rewrite history? Just because you didn't like the way it turned out. Things happen for a reason.